Hello, I'm Dr. Terry James Gingras, and this is Dr. G's ADHD Chat. This is a show designed to make the world safe for ADHDers. I am a clinical psychologist and neuropsychologist. I'm also the father of a couple of ADHD kids. Well, they're adults now, but they were kids. And I also have married into an ADHD family. And it seems like every year with the holidays and so on that have just passed, I am finding out that more and more of my relatives have ADHD. So it's it's sort of interesting. Now, I have been married a very long time. Okay, I my wife and I met in college and have been together pretty much ever since. The let's see, a little while ago, she all of a sudden opined that she thought she had ADHD, which well, maybe you don't know, but as a clinician, you're not supposed to treat family members. Let's just leave it at that. But I never even had thought about that. But then I started thinking about it, and it kind of, that kind of makes sense. Then I think back on I used to be in private practice. I had a very busy practice. Now I'm mostly doing coaching, which is slightly different, but I used to get a lot of couples that were having troubles because one clearly had ADHD and the other was getting frustrated with all the problems that frequently entails. Okay, that was my sound engineer. I am actually live now. That's good. Anyway, so when I had to start thinking about it for myself, in my situation, it actually kind of made sense because usually the person that has married into an ADHD family is somebody who came from kind of an uptight family background, and I can see that in my own family. My dad was a child of the Depression. He was in the army in World War II. Da 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 da. And before that, he was in the Civilian Conservation Corps, which, if you're not familiar with that, was a program that Franklin Delano Roosevelt uh, started to keep kids busy. And it was basically a military preparation kind of thing. But what they did was they did a lot of maintenance on national parks and that sort of stuff, clearing trails and chopping down trees and all that sort of thing. But it was military style, and he took that with him when he left, although he left in a hurry. When this minute they told him he could leave the army, he was gone. But everything around the house was pretty much, military style, no clutter, everything put in its place and a place for everything and that sort of thing. And my mother wasn't much different. She was a farmer's daughter, out in the middle of nowhere, all by yourselves, totally dependent on yourselves. And her mother was the typical farmer's wife, where her house was immaculate. There may be mud and cow flaps all over outside, but inside the house was a sanctuary. No dirt, no mud, no nothing. And so, I pretty much grew up like that. I grew I learned to pick up after myself because if I left clothes on the ground or something like that, I saw them 4 or 5 days later and they had been washed and folded and were back in my drawer. And then my father wouldn't be very happy about me making my mother do that extra work. So that was my background. And so I remember meeting my wife, and it was just kind of like, oh, hello. I was gobsmacked, as the British folks say, first time I met her. And it was, mostly the relaxed, comfortable, fun, a lot of experiences in life, all those sorts of things that I found intriguing. Um, and I think that pretty much stands with ADHD mixed. Should I use mixed as a way of describing it? A neurotypical who's married an ADHDer, and I think it's typically the neurotypical one is a little bit uptight or from an uptight background, if not uptight him or herself, and the freedom, the audacity of an ADHDer's impulsivity to get them to just, oh, let's just try this. What the heck, kind of thing. That whole attitude towards life is both scary and somewhat refreshing. So, I found that for myself. Just just do it. Really? I mean, I don't have to think about it for 3 or 4 days before. Anyway, so I think that was the main thing that I noticed early on that was different. When we got serious enough that I went to her home from college. It was like, oh, they're so relaxed and casual and having fun and that sort of thing. I was intrigued, and there were some things that would have caused me some concern, like I'd never seen a pile of dirty dishes in a sink quite that high. That would not have happened with my mother, but it didn't bother me. I was just, it was so much more relaxed than going home to my own house where I'd be, did my grades good enough this time, or what? It was not as relaxing. Let's just put it that way. And I find that a lot of the people I've worked with, and even the new darlings of ADHD, the what is it, Kim and Penn Holderness, I think it is, yeah, Holderness, who are all of a sudden everywhere. But she is obsessive compulsive, and he's as ADHD as you can get. So my theory seems to hold, at least for famous people. I don't know how it holds for everybody, but I think in all pretty much every case I have seen, it's been the ADHD person is just comfortable, and the more compulsive person, the more uptight person, is biting his or her tongue a lot. And sometimes what happens is they lose track of why they married this person in the first place. When he leaves his stuff all over the house, or God, I can't count it. She never. Well, my wife. I have, if you have not heard of my horizontal organization theory, I am a vertical organizer. Of course, I'm old school too, but file cabinets, file folders, boom, 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 boom. That's where stuff goes. ADHDers tend to, and my wife especially, any flat surface has a pile on it. And don't mess with the pile, because she knows exactly what's in the pile and how to find it. And if I try to organize it or straighten it up, I'll screw up her organization strategy, and I will hear about it. And that's, I think that's so typical of what do I call this, a mixed marriage? It seems a little bit extreme, but the idea that you marry this person because they have energy and a little bit of impulsivity, and they're got a good sense of humor and dip, and then all of a sudden those things start bothering you. And basically, you signed up for this, and you need to be thinking about the benefits you get out of it, because, well, I'm kind of one of those. got married, and I planned on staying married for to one person. I wasn't one of these, who's had 5 marriages and still looking for the perfect partner. But I could not imagine changing anything, and it's certainly my marriage. Uh, but it completely explained some things why, I mean, like my wife is she's a gifted accountant of all things. I wouldn't think ADHDers should be very good at that. But then again, her mother is also that, and they both ran their husbands' private practices. But she could, if you don't know what it EOB, explanation of benefits. Basically, it's this long damn form with all kinds of numbers and statistics and stuff on it. And I look at it and my eyes cross, and I lose consciousness. She looks at it and goes, "What's that doing there? That shouldn't be there." They put, okay, fine, but you can do that sort of thing. She has that. She's a very visual, spatial kind of person. Learns lots of things visual spatially, and which means I learned things. The crash course I had in checklists was in the Air Force. I was a missile launch officer where we were underground getting ready to launch missiles, and we were totally dependent on checklists. We had a whole big 3-inch binder of checklists that we ran for any problem. So that's how a young man with a degree in journalism all of a sudden was diagnosing electrical and hydraulic and even diesel generator problems. And that's a very nice way for a left linear logical kind of person, left hemisphere. I mean, we're talking about how the brain works. Theoretically, the left hemisphere, the left side of the brain is handles language and logic and that sort of thing, and the right side of the brain is more visual, spatial, and intuitive, if you will. And of course, all the creative people that'll say, I'm right brained. Well, basically, it isn't like they're separate. They work together, but basically, I'm a left brainer, a linear, logical, organized, checklists, and file cabinets and that sort of stuff. And I'm slowly learning to let Google and Dropbox take the place of my beloved file cabinets, and they take up a lot less room. But my wife is not linear and logical, and this came to roost for me when she was trying to teach me. And she's had a lot more experience with the computers than I have, and troubleshooting and all that sort of thing. I mostly was in my office talking to patients, and she was doing billing and troubleshooting computer breakdowns and all kinds of stuff. So she was trying to explain to me how to, what was it? Oh, strip the audio from a video and upload it on for this show for the and when I also launched the same content for a podcast, and it was like we were speaking different languages. She just couldn't take the way she problem solves it, and she still to this day, if I get lost or something, I call her because she can. Oh, you just did this. Great, thanks. But it just surprised me that it was such a difficulty to explain it, in stepwise way. Finally we did it, and I ended up with like a 35-step checklist on how to download a recording and strip the audio and upload the audio, and but we were talking about different languages. We were just, our way of processing the world is is really different. And as long as we can laugh at it, when there are obvious differences, we do just fine. And most of the time we can laugh at it, uh, at the differences. But, she is, when I was in the Air Force, you PCS, that means you move from one base to another base in another part of the country. She was always the navigator. And I swear one time we were lost looking for a turn, and she rolled out the window and stuck her head out and, oh, we're going to go turn right up here. And I used to joke that she had smelled where we were going. That was not the case, but she has this visual spatial thing in her head that she can map everything. And anything that's happened to her, she remembers and can recall in vivid detail. And I'm always, we did that? I don't remember doing that. But it's been interesting and pretty much rewarding. I wouldn't change anything. And but the deal is, it is so much easier to understand now that we've got, that's probably what's been going on all this time. So if you're in this situation that I'm in, or if you're the ADHDer watching this, just you have to, the non-ADHD partner, the neurotypical partner, has got to understand ADHD. And it's not just for the kids, it's for your partner as well. Some of the same things. That doesn't make your partner a kid who's not responsible for anything, but it does mean that there'll be some errors, some things that you will wonder about. Why in the world didn't this happen, or why didn't he do that, or why didn't she do that? And those sorts of things. There's gonna be some of that, and you have to be able to accept it and cherish the other parts, the parts that attracted you in the first place. I'm reasonably sure that's what it was. Oh, there's somebody who's lively and full of life and excited about stuff, and I'm just sort of slugging along, and not, I'm the turtle. But it is a huge thing that you have to be able to accept and remind yourself, why did I pick this person to be with? And I wish you lots of luck, and I would hazard that it is worth it, and keep working at it, and wonderful things happen. Okay, so if your partner has ADHD, they might want to listen to this too. Okay, so we are done for today. I am Dr. Terry James Gingrass, and this is Dr. G's ADHD Chat. And like I keep saying, this is a show trying to make the world safe for ADHDers. The whole concept of ADHD as a disability is, I think, a disservice. Although with the current education system, I think we need to have that, because the people won't get services if it's not seen as a disability. But you can't have a disability mindset as a parent. Because you add that to your kid, and your kid has to be able to see that he or she is as capable of doing whatever they want with their lives as they have to have the training, they have to have the resilience, they have to have the confidence to go with their impressions and make their life, even if it's not exactly the life that you would have planned for them, shall we say. Anyway, so my website is terrygingrassphd.com. I am a coach. And I'm just kind of concentrating. I do other things, but I am mostly concentrating on ADHD people, families, executives, etc. So if you would like to have a just let's see if we can talk kind of interview with me, just sign up on my website. There are a number of different places you can click on and just fill out a Calendly thing and get an appointment scheduled. So we will catch you next time, and keep stroking.